And I'm David. And it's the Survivor finale that I never saw coming.
No, nobody did.
We were so miserable about Extinction Island. And it paid off, everybody.
Well, you know, it paid off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it paid off, but
Right.
like it paid off.
I mean, it all happened this episode. We start with the Extinction Island crew coming back. And they have to, you know, all play for their chance
lined
back
up,
in the
we're
game.
ready to go.
Yes.
Here we go, and
Yes.
boom, we're just thrust into it, and it's like, oh my God, Joe, yes, Aurora,
Right.
Joe, yes,
everybody's
yes,
beasting.
like,
Chris,
oh
Eric,
my God,
like,
into it.
It's sort of the people that you expect to be good.
Yes.
War Dog is in the back of the pack, and no one is shocked, right?
Yeah.
And
Ron is tripping over himself. Nobody is shocked, right?
Reem is frustrated. Okay, we
Yeah.
get it.
She's like, dude.
Yeah.
Just as all expected.
Right. And it's Eric and Joe and Chris and Aurora in front. And Joe is so close. The ball
So
is
close.
right there. And it just
So
kind of
close.
circles the rim. And then Chris wins and Chris is back in the game.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let's just pause right there because, you know, we talk about Survivor.
Yes.
I also
Occasionally.
read a lot about Survivor.
Yeah.
I did not hear anyone seriously talking about Chris.
No.
At one point, we're like, sure. He's
Maybe.
getting challenges.
Yeah.
But nothing serious.
No. We were like, definitely Joe, maybe Aurora. And then like, you know, Chris is in the top 4 or 5 of people you expect to come back, but I just was still a little bit shocked.
I was like,
in.
he's walking over.
Yeah.
Okay, now he's
Yeah.
with the 5.
Yeah.
Now that's I was like, no, this is really happening.
Okay, yeah.
We both then tear up
Oh.
because we just spent like, what, 10 minutes
Oh my
on
gosh.
these Edge of Extinction people who are now just crying.
Oh my gosh, Reem gets a speech first. Thank God. She speaks for everybody, really. And then, you know, they let other people talk too. But Reem says everything that you want to hear from someone who's been on Extinction, you know. She hopes her family's proud of her and she wanted to, you know, prove that she was there. Whatever. She gives a great speech. We get great speeches from the returnees. Like, almost everyone gets some airtime here.
Yes.
It's very emotional.
It was very emotional. I did not realize how we were gonna just dive into all the tears in the world at this point. But I really caught myself rooting for Aurora when she was in the lead, and then when Joe started to take the lead, I was rooting for him.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was cheering for Chris, sure, but I was just like, wait, what?
What does this mean now?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because Chris doesn't know most of these people. Like, he was out pre-merge, so he doesn't know Julie and Gavin at all because they were on Kama. Like, nobody knows this guy. He was in Survivor for like 8 days before he got
He was on Edge of Extinction for 28 days.
4 straight weeks on Edge of Extinction. So he's got a lot of catching up to do. So we go back to camp and he's like, look guys, I'm out of it. Like, I've been on a deserted island, even more deserted than yours for 4 weeks. So I'm a little like out of sorts right now. I can't believe I'm back, but I have info.
I'm not what I was physically.
Yeah.
I'm not what I was mentally. But you know what? I got some info.
I got some info, so if you want to talk, let's talk. And he is fishing out idols at this point. He goes to Rick and he's like, is that idol real? Tell me the truth. And Rick's like, are we good?
Yeah.
Can I trust you?
So they recapture their little relationship.
Yes, right.
You know, they talk about, yeah, sure, Rick had to do with Chris's exit, but they had some time together on Edge of Extinction.
Right.
So they
We're all good.
made up.
Yes.
It was meaningful.
Which is exactly what Chris needs to do at this point. Build relationships with whoever you can.
Chris went straight to work.
Yeah.
No one can deny that. This boy obviously took his 28 days to think about what he needed to do, and he started immediately.
Yeah.
So he creates that bond with Rick,
Yes.
then he moves on to Lauren.
Right. And he's like, I know you have an idol, Kelly told me.
But the way he said it
Yeah.
was brilliant.
Yes. It wasn't threatening, really. It was just like...
it wasn't even like, ha ha ha, I know.
It was like, I just want you to know the jury's waiting for a big move from you.
This is a message from your girl.
Yes, from Kelly Wentworth specifically. She says that you got to make a big move with that, whether it's playing it for yourself or somebody else.
Someone else.
Yeah.
Oh,
hello.
Wow.
Just plant that seed.
That line was Almost $1 million. That was a good $100,000 right there. That line.
Right. He's just like racking up $1 million, $100,000 at a time, you know?
Exactly. All right, now we head to immunity, which is also a reward challenge.
Right. So everybody's, you know, on equal playing field here. Chris is back in the game. I gotta say, real quick, Chris like smiled at this point as Jeff was explaining things, and his teeth are like glisteningly white. I'm like, were you doing Crest white strips for 28 days? Because your teeth are perfect. But he's back in the game, but he's not doing great with this. He gets tripped up on the lock combo thing. Takes a lot longer than anybody else. I think he's just like a few steps more sluggish than everybody else mentally.
Yeah, well, Chris and Rick were both in the lead for the physical part. But mentally it seemed like he slowed down. He was the last person to get to the last puzzle. Victoria was actually the first person to get to the puzzle.
But then Julie is just like piecing that thing together.
She flew through that puzzle, and then Chris...
Yeah, he realizes, like, I have no chance of winning this.
So
like,
far behind.
Let me just help the person who's about to win.
He's like, watch this one. Hold this, watch this one.
Watch your elbow. Stabilize here.
To the point that Rick was like, what are you doing?
And Chris, in his head, is like, dude, I'm securing my spot on reward. That's what I'm doing.
I'm clearly not winning, but I need some food.
Right, so he helps Julie, and she eventually does win, which is great for her. Second immunity win.
Yep.
And then who does she choose first to get this steak dinner but Chris?
Now, she was going to choose Chris no matter what, because we've learned who Julie is.
She's got those morals, right?
She feels for these people who haven't eaten. Like, she wants to do the right thing in her mind. And so she was going to let him eat.
Right.
Then...
she picks...
Lauren, her good pal Lauren.
This is really a reward every single season where people are pissed if they don't get picked. Victoria's like all but openly sobbing. She's just so hungry. Tears are streaming down her face. Devon's is attacking Julie. Like, I had your back, but Julie's never stood up for me for anything.
Right.
So like people are very angry that they're not on the reward.
Of course.
Then they go back to the reward, and Chris is back to work immediately, saying, listen, I'm coming from the jury, and I know that Victoria and Devon's are the biggest threats.
Yeah, so obviously, I mean, they've been talking about Rick publicly. The jury knows. Everyone's on the same page about Rick, right?
Yeah.
But we also know he has an idol.
Yep.
So Chris does what he does with, like, but jury... The second person, besides Rick, is Victoria. This is another genius move on Chris's part.
Of course.
He has now laid the groundwork that Victoria is the threat.
Right, because...
she's the one that has to go.
Up until now, she wasn't a huge threat. She was playing a very good game in the middle, like, under the radar.
People knew she was dangerous, but like she wasn't top of the list.
No.
Now, smartly enough, she's back at camp going, I have to assume those three are working together.
Right.
How do I counteract that?
Right.
She is making great points. Gavin, let's figure this out. Rick is enemy number one, but we're gonna have to work with him right now.
So she extends the branch because she also recognizes that if we don't get Chris out, someone like Rick is going to want to take Chris to Final 3 over us.
Yeah.
So we got to get Chris out this week.
Victoria's making great points. Yeah. She's doing the best that she can. And Rick probably is listening going, okay, yeah, good points, good points. But... once Chris and Rick get back into the same camp together...
hello, Chris is back to work on that relationship, saying, look, we're good. He just like cuts Rick off at the pass. Like, Rick is kind of coming in to like see what's what, and Chris immediately just is like, loyalty, loyalty, loyalty.
And he was like, let me show you.
Yeah.
Guess what I got in my bag? Which Rick was like, hey, I know I got something when I came back.
Yeah.
What did you get?
Which surprises me that we didn't see anyone else ask that question. Rick is the only person who's like, hey, I remember I got an idol that was split in two when I came back. What did you get? And Chris is like, yeah, sure enough, I got the same idol.
Guess what? Same exact split idol.
Right.
And Chris makes a brilliant decision to split that with Rick.
Yeah.
So at this moment, Rick has Victoria's information and Chris's information. He has to go with the Chris thing.
Yeah.
Because you've got this idol that can be merged into one idol.
Right.
That's the best leverage I can think of.
Yeah. Now, we see Chris go to Lauren.
This is his backup plan.
Right.
How does he make sure he's safe this week?
Right.
Well, he already planted the seed with Lauren that she has to make a big move by playing that idol for herself or someone else.
Right. Yes.
Who would that someone else be?
It would be Chris. So he gets her to say, if Rick plays his idol and it's real, I will play my idol for you, Chris.
Yeah, he kind of like pokes at her and she's like, you're not in trouble, like it's Victoria, it's fine. And he was like, but just to be sure,
Right.
So because it was kind of that casualness, I feel like Lauren was like, yeah, fine, whatever.
Fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
If Rick plays it and it's real,
because to her,
then,
I think it's so many ifs that she's like, shut up, Chris, like, yeah, fine, I'll play it for you, like, but she's probably thinking like, Rick's idol isn't real, I'm not gonna have to worry about this.
So then at Tribal, you know, obviously Rick's still public enemy number one, that's the talk. And then it's like, well, what about Chris? He's the new guy. Is he also? Sure, he's also the new, we should get rid of him.
But
talk about that.
Yeah, not any talk though about Victoria in this tribal council. It's all about Chris versus Rick. Nobody's like showing their cards about this plan B. Well, then we go to vote, and after the vote, Jeff calls for an idol, and sure enough, Rick plays his idol. He's got to.
He has to.
And it's real. And then I love when Lauren was like, ugh, and she like rolls her eyes, and she's like, Jeff.
She was like, oh. And she's like, for a minute, she's like, oh no, what do I do? Chris is like,
Lauren.
Yeah. And Lauren just is like, okay.
Fine, I'll play this for Chris.
So she gets up and she plays her idol for Chris.
Yes. So,
which is exciting for like a second.
Yeah.
Like jury's like, what?
Oh, wow, big move. Right.
But then, no.
When the votes come down, it's 3 votes for Devens, none of them count. 1 vote for Chris, doesn't count, and then 2 for Victoria. And immediately,
Victoria's like,
she's like, what the? Okay, great. And Lauren is like, I wasted my idol. Like, she looks right at Kelly Wentworth and she's like, I didn't even need to play it.
No, you didn't need to play it. But that wasn't really the point, Lauren. Chris was flushing your idol.
Hello, he's making moves.
Played. You were played.
Yes. So Victoria does not get the chance to go to Extinction. She's just on the jury now.
Let's pause. Let's pause and say, Victoria, you played a darn good game.
You did.
We were cheering for you.
Yep.
And this is just kind of how it goes.
This is, you know, it just happens to somebody, and it happened to be you this season.
Yep, the votes just fell that way.
Yeah. We go back to camp, and everybody knows idols are back in play now. And of course, Rick Devens is the one who's like leading the charge. And I will give credit to everyone else. They were out looking and tailing him.
Everyone got up early.
It was not exactly a Ben situation where he just went on his own every single time and found an idol. But Rick is 1 step ahead of everyone, and he finds the actual idol, and
he's actually weeks ahead of everyone because he had already created 2 fake idols.
Yes.
So not only is he up and looking for an idol, but he is planting 2 fake ones.
Yeah, right. Now, I have to say, we've been talking up Chris's game a lot here because we know how this ends. But at this point in the episode, I'm like, give Rick Devens the million because he just found another idol.
He's found another.
He's invincible. There's no way to get this guy out. And he's made 2 fake idols, so he finds the real one, and then it's just this embarrassing show for everybody else. Julie finds a fake idol and is screaming and cheering with Lauren, and Rick and Chris like over here, and they're like, okay, so Julie just found a fake one. Lauren finds the one in the tree, is so happy with herself, pleased.
I couldn't believe Rick had actually planted that clue and planted the one. I was like, oh, there's not gonna be anything up there.
Yeah.
No, he planted it on top of the shelter.
What?
And she went and got it.
Oh my gosh. He's a genius. Like, amazing.
I'm sorry, but those extra steps, they do count. That does mean something.
It's huge.
I know it's not like traditional gameplay, but it's gameplay.
Yes, like Rick is playing a brilliant game at this point.
So when Rick finds his actual idol though, because he finds, of course, the real idol, he is then able to give his half back to Chris.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Right.
Now they both have an idol.
Right.
Both are safe.
Yes.
Couldn't be more confident.
Oh yeah, because they're thinking, well, now Lauren and Julie think they're safe, but we're the only ones who are actually safe.
When we go to immunity, we are actually rooting for Gavin because he's the one person who doesn't have any like safety.
Right, and he does. It's an insane immunity challenge. Like 6 bags of puzzle pieces and like
even
all
they
these
were like, whoa.
Where are we?
Yeah.
It was like a crazy build, like a very impressive challenge.
Yeah.
And it does come down to Devens and Gavin on this puzzle. They're like sort of neck and neck, but Rick Devens on a puzzle, man. Like,
hard to beat.
Really hard to beat.
Hard to beat.
And
I was definitely
wins.
rooting for Gavin because I just thought that it was great for him to have the immunity at this point. But of course, Rick wins, and I'm just like sign away the check, people.
Sign it, Jeff. Sign the check.
Winner. We can't argue. He's the winner.
This is his last opportunity to use the hidden immunity idol that he has found this morning.
Right.
And now he has the immunity necklace.
Yeah.
So now he gets to use that idol on someone else and make a big move. Well,
let's get back to camp though and say everyone's confident, right?
Yeah, feeling good.
Everyone's immune practically. Except for Gavin.
Right.
Now, so Rick was like, how do I play this little moment?
Well, let me try to make a deal here. So he sits down with Gavin and he's like, you know I have an idol, because everyone in camp knows Rick has an idol. They all saw him find it. So he's like, listen, Gavin, I got the necklace and I got this idol. It's my last chance to play this idol. So if you promise, Gavin, do you promise that you will bring me to the final 3 and I will play this idol on you, Gavin?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big ask. It was like, I don't want to make fire. You have to bring me to the final 3 if you get it.
And
it's a big ask, but you have to say yes to that.
Yes.
Of course Gavin is going to be like, yes, please.
Yeah, right, yes, of course I will do that. And in his confessional, he's like, listen, I might have to break that promise, but I gotta at least make it because I gotta make my way into the final 4 before I can even think about the final 3.
Yeah. At this point, Chris and Rick are just like, so, who do we, Julie or Lauren?
Yeah.
Who do we want to get out?
Going for? Right, because they feel like they can decide which, largely they can.
Yeah.
Lauren, meanwhile, is starting to get a little suspicious of all of these idols. Julie has an idol, Rick has an idol, she has an idol. She's like, are these all real?
She knows it's odd to have 3 idols found in one day.
Right.
But you kind of just have to go with it and hope for the best.
Right. So we see her sort of give like a half-hearted pitch to Chris about like, maybe we need to vote for Julie. She's just trying to get votes off of herself going into tribal council.
She's definitely trying. The big part of this tribal is the idol showdown, which we saw coming.
Yes.
It's the last time to play your idol, so it doesn't even really matter.
Right.
So here we go.
You gotta try it.
The call for idols comes and Julie hops up. Here you go.
Fake.
Okay, well then Lauren's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well I'm gonna give it a shot. Here you go.
Fake.
No bueno. So Rick kind of plays into it and was like, well, I guess I'll try too.
Yeah, right.
But because he's immune, this is for Gavin.
And Chris is like, dude.
Yeah, he plays it off.
Yeah, he's like trying to pretend like he's now in danger.
Yeah. What? This one, real.
Yes,
right. Gavin's
now Gavin's safe. Okay, well, Jeff, then I guess in that case, let me get in on the fun.
What? 4 idols played. 2 happen to be real.
Yes.
And that means Chris, Rick, Gavin are safe.
Yes.
And Julie and Lauren are like,
They are bummed. They're like, yikes, that's one of us. So we go to vote, and then they reveal the votes, and there are 3 votes for Chris, which were Julie, Lauren, and Gavin, because they were trying to go after him, not knowing he had this idol in his pocket. They don't count, and then Lauren is gone.
Lauren, they claimed, had more connection to jury.
Yeah.
Julie has 2 immunity wins.
Right.
But they thought that Lauren was a bit more strategic and might have more jury votes. So poor Lauren.
Poor Lauren had her idol flushed the week before and then was forced to embarrass herself and play a fake idol.
Yeah, that was
when she really
that was the big thing.
Yeah.
Is that unfortunately she fell for Chris and she lost her idol the week before.
So she's gone now. Now we are back. It's Final 4. This is the last immunity challenge. It's the most important, right? Because whoever wins gets to pick who's going to fire. And it's the one where you have to stack up the final 3 thing. And I gotta tell you,
how is this even possible? It looks so hard.
Yes. We have never seen a worse performance from Rick Devens in the Immunity Challenge. And then Julie and Chris are both doing super well. But Julie falls and Chris is just slow and steady and deliberate the whole time and doesn't drop once. And he wins the final immunity.
I could not believe. At one point he was like, stop freaking out. And I was like, you're freaking out?
Yeah.
He looked so calm and steady. He was moving so slowly. Everybody else is dropping left and right.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And he was just laser focused. He's like, calm your legs, calm your legs. Just
a
perfect
performance.
Yeah.
Final immunity.
Hello.
So this means now we have to decide.
Yeah.
Who does he want to take and who's gonna make fire.
Right.
Well, first we see Rick's pitch.
Yeah.
And I was so glad that it was a fairly honest conversation.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Rick tried to lean into the loyalty of everything.
Sure.
Ultimately, it came down to Chris being like, dude, I'm gonna lose to you.
You played the $1 million game.
Yeah, so
you will be making fire.
You gotta make fire and earn your way into the final 3.
I'm very, very glad that he was open and honest. And the past couple days that they've been together really seemed to be sort of open.
Yeah.
You know, they were kind of like, dude, I got you.
Yeah.
But they had said final 4.
Yeah.
There were no final 3 promises. There were no deals. That deal that Rick made with Gavin was incredible.
Yeah.
But like, he kind of needed to do that with Chris,
yeah,
you know?
Right. To Chris's credit in this situation, and this comes up later in the show, but he made a loyalty deal with Rick for the final 4, and that's it.
Yep.
And so at that point, he's like, sorry, you're making fire.
Sorry, I want to win this game, and I think I will lose next to you, so you will be making fire.
Right.
Then he proceeds to move on to Gavin and Julie and be like, whoever can make fire best is going to go against Rick.
So let's train.
Yeah.
I'm here to teach you how to make fire.
They all work together, and it was interesting because you even see Gavin, who you know wants to just go to the final 3, be like, I will beat him.
Yeah.
That's what I have to do. I will beat him.
Yep.
Don't even worry about taking me.
They all know they have to beat Rick. Like, none of them want Rick in the final 3, so they're like, we will do what it takes.
Right.
I don't think anybody saw what happened coming.
Well, we get a little hint from Chris.
I gotta be daring.
You know what? I might have to do what I have to do. And we're like, oh, wait,
Chris,
wait, what?
What are you doing?
So we get to this tribal where this decision has to go down.
Yeah.
Chris is like, look.
I gotta do what I gotta do.
We have to beat Rick.
Yeah, because
we all know. It's like so open.
Everybody knows.
Rick is the one to beat.
Rick is the winner.
So I am going to give my immunity necklace
to
Julie and go do fire against Rick.
Now, the Fijian winds were out tonight, okay? So they couldn't even do the fire making challenge in front of the jury. They had to go up into this like makeshift hut that they built around the voting like podium, whatever it is. And so Jeff is up there, the jury's like craning their neck trying to see this fire making challenge go down. And it is kind of back and forth. It's a nail biter.
You guys, let's just say Chris gave away his immunity necklace to make fire.
I was furious. I was like, what are you doing, Chris? This is so stupid. But at the same time, I'm like, it's genius, because if you get Rick Devens out, how do you not win? So
right. No,
I'm
look,
like conflicted.
I get it.
I get it in theory, but in practice.
But why would you give up
your shot in the final 3?
Your shot.
Yeah.
To beat the guy that you would lose next to potentially. Basically he was saying it's not worth it to me to make it to the final 3 if I'm going to lose to this guy.
Yeah.
I have to fight my way in.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe we were pacing and screaming, and it was just a soups intense moment.
Yes.
And Gavin and Julie, like Julie was like, oh wow. And Gavin, I could tell he was like, oh man, like this really bumps my odds down if this is going on. This is a show.
If Chris loses, I lose to Rick. But if Chris wins, I might lose to Chris. Like Gavin is kind of like, damn it.
The show that Chris is putting on is basically saying we're figuring out who's going to win right now.
Right, because if Gavin had gone to fire making and beat Rick, he would have had a way better case to make at the final tribal council. But Chris like kind of snatched that opportunity away from him and was like, I'm going to beat Rick. And he does. And my jaw was on the floor.
Wow.
Because Rick was supposed to win this season of Survivor. He was getting the winner's edit all along.
He was definitely the star of this season.
Yes.
But Chris came in like gangbusters.
I don't know if he could have made one more move to build his resume in those final 3 or 4 days, 5 days of this game.
He really took those 28 days. I have to make the most if I'm going to get back in.
Yeah.
And do everything. And he did. When he just made that decision to make fire, that's so huge. And then he does it. He's the one person who was able to get Rick Devens out of this game.
How many tribals now?
How many
has
weeks?
Rick Devens been the #1 target, and you literally cannot eliminate him
Couldn't get rid of him.
because he's got an idol or he's won individual immunity.
Couldn't get rid
How
of him until
many
Chris
tribals?
got back in the game.
So
sorry, that's huge.
That's huge. So at this point I'm thinking, is someone who is out of the game for 28 days about to win Survivor?
Yeah.
Is that where we're headed?
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. We go back to camp, their mimosa brunch, whatever.
Right. They're doing their confessionals.
Yes.
We hear all of their stories. They're all lovely.
Right.
But the most important thing is this final tribal.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, okay, Julie's not going to get much, so we don't really think about her. Although she had 2 immunity wins, I'm all for you, Julie.
Yeah.
I get it.
But
sorry.
The jury was looking at you in a different light when they were looking at Chris and
Gavin is a public defender.
Yeah.
Lawyers know how to talk. And Chris is a salesman. I'm like, okay, this final tribal is going to go down.
Yeah. And I got to say, the jury was a little bit testy. Like,
they
always are because they're like, ugh.
They are so
eliminated us, and now we have to give one of you $1 million. This isn't what we signed up for.
They're like, you tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me why you deserve my vote.
And like early on, Chris kind of asked Gavin a question, and Kelly Wentworth was like, that is offensive to me.
I'm offended by this.
Let's let the jury ask the questions. And I was like, ooh, is Chris like ruining his chance here? Like,
yeah, I think he did. Like, he obviously sold himself well.
He did.
That salesman came out.
Yeah.
He was able to list exactly. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. Like, he nailed it. But he did sort of, I think, work against himself a little bit by trying to push, like, I still played while I was on Edge of Extinction.
Right.
I was still working.
Yeah.
And then Gavin kind of did the same thing. Like, he felt like he had to defend.
Yeah.
No, I was in the game.
I survived. I didn't get eliminated.
I wasn't sitting over on Edge of Extinction. I was trying not to be voted out every single tribal.
Yeah, right. The one unfortunate part about the final tribal to me was this, like, questioning of Julie about her emotions. And again, just like making a woman defend being emotional and showing emotional. That's just like not something I love to watch. So like I didn't like that they were like, oh, we can't. Julie, you're not gonna win. You were too emotional. Like, I don't like that.
Unfortunately, that's the way it played out, but it is true. Julie had that memorable emotional breakdown at a jury, and she had to sort of explain how that was beneficial.
Right.
Unfortunately, like, that was it then.
Yeah.
They never even go back to talking to her.
Until the very end.
Yeah. Which she did have a great line at the end.
I got chills.
Yeah.
She said, I already am who I came to prove to be.
Right.
I was like, Julie, goosebumps. Like, you got your moment, girl.
Have that cross stitch on a pillow. That is fantastic.
That was great.
So I'm glad we ended with that because unfortunately this tribal was just not going to be about her whatsoever.
Right. But we've got Chris talking up his time on Extinction. Like, I thought he did a good job of saying, like, I was still in the game. I was playing the social game. I was building relationships with the jurors. I was catching Stingray. I was feeding everybody. Like, I was still playing even though I was out of the game for 28 days. Meanwhile, Gavin's like, well, guess what? I was in the game for all 28 of those days, and my name was not written down one time this entire game.
Gavin even said, he was like, I feel like I was at a disadvantage. Like, you got to go chill and be social while I was fighting for my life every single time. And to that point, he was saying, I couldn't make these massive moves because I needed to survive. And it's true. We talked weeks ago about how Gavin showed a lot of potential and then kind of sat back just a smidge. He was never just like way back passenger seat. He had to do that to survive. Ron put himself out there, he got out. War Dog put himself out there, he got out. I mean, that's just what happens. He allowed himself to stay into the game this long, get to final 3. Because you have to sort of ride that middle line. You have to make moves, but not the big moves. So I totally get what he was saying. I just was bummed that they kind of had to be like, well, being on Edge of Extinction is harder. No, being in the game is harder.
Right. Because it even came down to War Dog being like, the theme of this game is not on trial. Like, these people are on trial. Like, let's just try to figure out who played the best game.
And Julia was like, yeah, sure, he sat over there for 28 days, but look what he did.
Yes. And where were you, Gavin? Where were you in the last 5 days of the game?
Again, I think that's 2 different games, though. Gavin had to survive. Chris had to dive in very last minute. He didn't have the opportunity to lay back and be like, I'm just gonna survive. He had to dominate.
Yeah, right, which he did very successfully. And I think a huge part in the jury proceedings was when he said like his biggest move, and he was like, I convinced Lauren to play her idol for me. And Ron was like, how did he convince you of that, Lauren? And she was like, he played me like a fiddle.
Yeah.
And that was like...
That was really good for him.
Like, I just think that resonated with a lot of the jury.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this guy came back and like played a brilliant game. Like, could not have done one more thing better, I think, to like build his resume for how few days he was back.
So before this final tribal, after he beats Rick in fire, I'm like, well, Chris unanimously has won this whole game. I can't believe this. I'm shocked.
But then I'm taking a step back and I'm like, how can someone who's been in Survivor for 12, 13 days win $1 million?
Yeah, how can you take what Gavin did away from Gavin?
Yeah.
So after Final Tribal, I was thinking, I hope it's close.
Yeah.
I hope that Chris and Gavin battle it out with the votes.
Right.
And it almost was.
It almost was. It was, I mean, it was close till we got to 4-4, and then the rest of the votes were for Chris. 9-4, Chris wins the $1 million. I'm blown away.
Blown away.
But I don't think he doesn't deserve it. A lot of people are saying, who's Chris? I don't know who Chris is.
I know, and I feel you.
Yeah.
Like, we did not see a lot of Chris this show, but that doesn't mean he doesn't win.
That's
I mean, there's a lot of, we talk about editing. There's a lot of talk about how many confessionals somebody gets.
Oh my God.
What does that mean about the show? I'm okay with them not giving me a Chris confessional every episode. It can be a Rick season and Rick not win.
Right, and the person who beats Rick maybe is the deserving winner then.
Exactly.
Well, I remember we had a comment on our week 1 reaction.
Yes.
And someone said, well, Chris didn't get a confessional in the premiere episode, so I think we can exclude him from a potential winners list.
That's right, we remember you.
Yeah, but here we are.
But here we are. Look, I think Chris played a dang good game in those 5 days, what was it, that he came back?
Couldn't have done more.
But I also think Gavin played a really great game in his 39 days.
Yeah.
So this is a tough one for me. I enjoyed the twist and I'm annoyed by the twist.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what makes it compelling television.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say it was interesting to see like how the votes were weighted, right?
Yes.
Because like the people who voted for Gavin were Rick, Lauren, Wentworth, and Aurora. And Rick, Lauren, and Aurora are 3 out of the last 4 people to get voted out of the game. Everybody else from the beginning of the game, they apparently had mad respect for Chris for being on Extinction for so long and coming back and playing such a huge game.
Which is exactly how you would expect it.
And
Chris spent 28 days with these people.
Yeah.
They're gonna vote for him.
Yeah. They know him. They like him.
The people who were voted out at the end spent most of their time with Gavin. They're gonna vote for him.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
I was surprised Victoria didn't vote for Gavin.
I was too. That was a little bit of a shocker, especially because on her way out she was like, well, Gavin, you got my vote. But
something changed.
I guess he didn't play hard enough in the end.
Yeah.
Now, I gotta say, going into this vote, I said, whoever Reem picks is the winner. And Reem voted for Chris. Okay? As Reem goes, so goes the jury on Survivor. She picks the winner. Reem stays queen. Queen of Extinction Island.
How quickly does Reem come back for another Survivor?
Oh, God.
It can't be next season.
Yeah.
It'll be a couple.
Yes.
Won't be long. Won't be long, guys.
But a great season. I mean, like, a lot of people were getting pretty frustrated towards the end because it was the Rick show.
The Rick show.
And it just felt like this inevitable sort of slog to Rick getting the $1 million check.
Look, had he made it into the final 3, he did deserve to win it.
Yeah.
But he didn't make it to the final 3.
Yeah.
Neither did Victoria or Lauren, who I think had chances to win too.
Yeah, yep. But they didn't make it.
They didn't make it.
I think Chris is a deserving winner.
That's just kind of how the game goes. Chris is a deserving winner. So is Gavin.
Yes, right.
But there's only one winner.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know, overall, I enjoyed the season.
Yeah, I did too.
Because I loved this season, honestly, until last week.
Yeah.
When the returner didn't come. Remember the first 20 minutes of this finale? That would have been great last week.
That would have been amazing.
I would have loved it had Chris returned last week.
Yeah.
Would have been great.
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed the show. I love good gameplay, and we saw some amazing gameplay in this last finale.
Yeah, we did.
This one episode.
Yeah.
Was chock full of it.
Yep. I don't know how Survivor does it. I was just like, this is the most obvious season ever. Boring. And another shocker finale. They do it every time.
I think Survivor's playing with us. They're like, they've caught on to how we edit a show. Right. So we're gonna
switch it up.
Switch it up.
Yeah. Keep them on their toes. It worked.
Please let us know what you think. I know that it is divided out there. Some of you loved this twist. Some of you hated this twist.
Right.
Now that we have a winner from Edge of Extinction, this whole season takes on a whole new meaning.
And I know a lot of you guys who watch our videos were not fans of Devin's, but did any of you foresee Chris winning?
Right.
We gotta hear what you think.
I mean, are you just happy Rick did it? Like, what is your feeling on this? Thank you guys for sticking with us this season through all the ups and downs.
Yes, Survivor will of course be back in the fall for another season, but in the meantime, don't forget we've got Amazing Race still, which comes back next week.
We're still covering that.
Yes.
And Big Brother will be back this summer.
Yes, so we'll have tons of content for you guys all throughout the summer. Lots to come.
Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.